see this week as the last chance to get ready for the playoffs and just continue fine tuning.
Yeah. Fine tuning, I guess, is a good way of putting it. You know, we're using this week as just more opportunity for us to go out and get better as a program. No different than any other week. The facts are we've only got 4 games guaranteed left. So I would hope there's a little more to play for with our 26 guys just because of that. Because I know to a man, we get to the middle of April, they're all going to wish we had hockey again, you know, and so I want them to realize that and take advantage of this last opportunity here and finish the year strong.
What are the major areas of priority? Or major,
you know, I really feel continuing to focus on execution in our game plan. We've been exposed for not doing that enough the last 4 games and not creating enough offense, but that's execution. Not being good enough on defense, that's execution. I mean, we're continuing to talk about our discipline with our, you know, our play and our sticks and all that kind of stuff. Taking poor penalties at poor times, not necessarily an abundance of penalties, but poor penalties at poor times, and it's costing us right now. So quite honestly, Kevin, nothing is different than any other week of preparation. You know, we're not going to start to crank things up because we're getting closer to the end of the year. This is the way we want to prepare on a daily basis, and that's something we're working on.
Not that last week's opponent was that much better than other teams playing the CCHA, but since they were number 1, was it kind of a yardstick, kind of a deal that you could see, you know, where the BG program is compared to the program that is number 1?
Yes, in those terms right there, we're not that far away. But again, I think in the same terms, we're a ways away. You know, Bob's been at Ferris quite a long time, and I think the biggest thing that Ferris State has going for them is how established their brand is and their depth, and they showed it this weekend. For what we're not, and that's very veteran or very deep right now. They exposed us for that because they're very veteran and they're very deep. They weren't looking at Jordy Johnson has 16 goals going into the weekend. He still has 16. I'm not saying he didn't play well. I'm saying they don't need him to score for them to win. They don't need Kyle Bonus to score for them to win. Kyle didn't score a goal. He had chances but didn't score. They still scored 9 goals on the weekend. That is what Ferris State is. Their defense core, they don't have one guy over 5'10", yet they defend like defenders, and they chip in on the offense. And then anything gets beyond that, Taylor Nelson's there to stop it. You know, that to me is, it's just it tells you that you can do it with a good plan, and 26 or 27 young guys that believe in that plan and are willing to do their part. Willing. You could be the number 1 team in the country or whatever that means. And to me, that doesn't mean as much as, I think Ferris is going to be a hard out for anybody come down the stretch here. CCHA playoffs, national tournament, they're going to be a difficult out because of the way they defend and the way everyone's stepping up and doing their part. And you know, it's a 2-1 game on Saturday, and I believe his first name was Aaron, but Schmidt, I believe it was Aaron Schmidt, tips a puck that's going 6 feet wide. And in a game that we're 1 bounce away from being 2-2, and now it's in jeopardy, here's a senior, not necessarily their go-to offensive guy, but a guy who's contributing, tips a puck that's going 6 feet wide in the net. 3-1, game's over. That was the weekend to me. It was just constantly a guy on their team stepping up who wasn't Jordy Johnston, their top scorer, quote unquote. It was just, their depth is really good. So getting back to your original question, because it's not all this bells and whistles and flash and the so-called top 16-year-old player committing to Ferris State as a 16, they just do it the right way. They get kids that want to be there. They get kids that want to play in a certain type of system, and they got them all on the same page. And now they've got some nice leadership and some really good depth. Will we have that? I absolutely believe we will. This year's team, I don't think we'll have those things because we're still trying to develop those things. So in terms of a measuring stick, it doesn't have to be the top 10 of the top 12 96 born kids committed to your school. It doesn't have to be that. It can be a pretty ho-hum blueprint, if you will, that goes a long way. Because you watch what's happening there. The rink was sold out, 2,500, whatever it is. And it was just one person after another stepping up and getting the job done. And some pretty good leadership. You know, when we talk to their staff, it's, yeah, this is a really good group of seniors. Good group of 5 or 6 seniors. Good group of 5 or 6 or 8 juniors. I mean, it really isn't rocket science. It really isn't reinventing anything to have a pretty good thing going. That's what we're trying to develop here. So, you know, and then the stars align and you have one of those years like they're having right now. But we talked about this last week. Even a bad year, it's not 11. It's 6, 7, 8, which is, you know, 6, 7, 8. You're 3 wins away from second. You know, so you know, very. The word isn't envious. The word is just very respectful of what they've done at Ferris State, for example. And I think that Bowling Green has lots to offer in terms of the total package, and we can use that as why not us, and we're doing that. In terms of measuring ourselves where we are now compared to them, well, it doesn't look like we're all that close, but I don't think we're all that far away.
What do you like about Michigan and the way they're playing right now? They're on a pretty good roll right now.
What don't you like?
Exactly. You know what?
I like that they've got great goaltending in Sean, and he's been doing it again. You know what I like Luke Glendening. I think he is a kid. I think he's a glue. I think he's the type of kid that when you make him your captain and you give him the program, so to speak, that you get results because he was going to hold people accountable. He looks like one of those lunch bucket type kids that comes to work every day with a purpose. He's a hard-nosed kid, and he makes sure everybody's playing to a certain level. And if you do that with the talent they have, then you become a handful. You know, that's what I like. You know, that they're a very talented group, but I've seen talented Michigan teams, and so have you, that haven't played to that potential because they don't have a glue. They don't have a guy that people can say, that is who we are right there. And I think Glendening is that. And I'm not saying he's the only one. I just think he's one of those guys that sometimes gets overlooked because he's not the flash. But to me, he is a big reason why they're doing as well as they are. Because they've got young guys with talent, but unless you have an example, somebody who you can look up to on a daily basis and says, this is the way we operate around here, I think that talent sometimes can just be that, just talent. But now you have something special because you've got guys. And I'll put Sean Hunwick in that mix too. I'm sure he's a guy, he seems like a pretty nice kid who he kind of been an overachiever, so to speak. So they seem to have a good group of seniors. I think all 4 of them are contributing. They've got some young guys contributing. And they're defending hard. I think over the last couple, 3, 4 years anyway, I think their defense is underrated. I don't mean their defensemen. I mean their team defense. I think they're a team that defends really well. When maybe my first 5 or 6 years in coaching, I thought they took that for granted. I'm not sure if they did or didn't. That's what we thought.
Yeah.
They defend very well. They make it difficult to create offense. And it's not because they're cheating to go on offense. They're defending hard. And then obviously they've got the offensive weapons they have and power play and so on. So lots to like, but yet a team that if we're on and right, we can compete with.
From a mental perspective, heading into the CCHA playoffs, how important is it, not necessarily to win this weekend, but to be competitive and to play well heading into what's coming up?
I think it's everything because I really feel like our mental state is our biggest challenge. We're challenged physically, but we know that. When we're right mentally, I think physically we find a way to be right or more right. That doesn't probably make much sense English-wise, but if we're right in the head, in that we're confident in what we're doing, and we're focused on competing and trying to execute a game plan within that competition level, physically we find a way. We're a pretty resilient bunch when it comes to those things. So I really feel like we know that whoever we play in the playoffs is a team we're going to be able to compete with. We know that. Whether we've competed with or beaten them this year or not, we know they're a team we're going to be able to compete with. And we have to almost fight ourselves a little bit not to go into that series in 2 weeks and be, what's going to happen? We have to be a way to be confident. A big way for that is to have a good weekend this weekend. And obviously we define good a little bit different than other programs right now. And I don't even know what the answer would be. Well, what would I consider a good weekend, with the exception of the obvious? I would consider a result or two a good weekend, obviously. But if those aren't happening, is there a way we can take some good to go into the playoffs with a little bit of momentum? Well, I sure hope so. Because it's, when you start to talk about taking hockey away from a 20-year-old, just because it's the end of the season, I think it brings out something in them. That complacency that a 20-year-old boy has all the time seems to go away a little bit. Oh, he's right. We don't have many more games left this year, and it isn't going to be long till we wish we had hockey. I hope there's some of that too. I really do, because I want to keep playing. Every day that we play, we learn more about each other and ourselves, and it's one less experience we have to live through because we've already lived through it. And I do feel our guys have worked hard. I would like them to get some positive going into our off season, whatever that may be. So I think the mental state of it is huge for us because it's something we fought with all year long.
When you play Michigan, you see like one of the big keys being puck management,
Yes.
not turning it over.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Puck management, not turning it over, and then Kevin being really disciplined with our play. And I don't mean sitting back. I mean keeping your hands down. I mean not hooking and holding. I mean taking good angles so you don't have to do those things. Puck management is absolutely, it's probably been as long as Coach Berenson's been there. You don't manage the puck, they're going to transition on you better than most, if not the best. But then again, you have to be able to stay poised and disciplined with the way you're playing, because if you get yourself running around or you get yourself into some kind of penalty trouble, then there's no game. It doesn't matter how you manage the puck, because they're going to beat you on the power play, or they're going to beat you based on you running around and chasing your tail versus just poised, competing within your system the way you want to play. Your details have to be good, no different than anybody else. Individually and collectively, you have to have good details with your game. But I would go back to puck management and discipline with your actions.
And not to state the obvious, the special teams will be
Huge.
even bigger. Yeah.
Huge, and we've obviously struggled with that. That to me doesn't mean we're at a disadvantage going in the weekend. To me, it's a clean slate going in the weekend. It's going to be huge again. We need to be on the positive side of the special teams game no differently, but that goes back to being disciplined with the way we play. We can't give Michigan 8 chances on the power play and think you're going to win. It's just not the way. Over a weekend, potentially, but not in one night. And we have to be hard to defend, which means they're taking penalties on us. We only created 2 penalties against on Saturday night, which means something's wrong with our second or third effort. We're not pushing the pace hard enough to make them chase us down. Something. We have to look internally at that and say, this isn't the referees not calling penalties, this is us not drawing enough.
Seems like over the last few weekends, you had mentioned you haven't had a lot of power play chances.
We haven't.
Yeah.
And again, that's not based on refereeing. That's based on our second and third effort and the way we're attacking our opponent. If you're attacking them with that relentless mindset that we want to have, they've got to take penalties because it's just, they have to. It's just constant. Here they come again. We haven't done that enough.
We get hit on the injuries.
Brett Mulder had surgery today, so obviously that's a good thing. Wyatt is pretty much just going to shut down for the year in terms of hockey, just because it's really going to be difficult for him to play anyway at this point. DeSalvo slow. Peltoma re-injured his ankle, so I really think that this week he just is off. Hafner is getting better, but not where he's in consideration to play. I think that's it.
DeSalvo likely, unlikely?
This weekend?
Yeah.
Unlikely.
All right, with this being the last home series, just briefly,
What has meant with the two seniors, what have they meant to you in your 2 years in the program?
Well, they've meant a lot to me. I hope we've had a positive impact when they look back on their Bowling Green career. Obviously, it's been marred with adversity. You can define adversity any way you want, but they obviously are playing for their third head coach and a handful of assistants at least. I think they're two pretty special kids. They're going to walk away with a degree. They're the two remaining members of a 8 or 9 person class, I believe. We've had something to do with that a little bit, but a lot of those kids it was just based on their own decisions to not be here before we got here. I want Cameron and James to be guys that will think back of Bowling Green with fond memories, regardless of the winning and losing, because that's what this program is going to be about. We are going to win, but at the end of the day, I want people to look back at their experience at Bowling Green and say that was the best 4 years of my life. I'm not sure if that was what James and Cameron will say. I hope it'll be close to that, because they're two special kids and they're going to go on, whether it's play minor pro or whatever it is, play pro hockey, ultimately get a job. But I want them to be guys that are proud of what this program has helped them become. And I hope they're proud of what this program is becoming.
Anything else for Coach? He's good. All right. First, thank you.
Thank you.